What do you got going on?
I got a couple games I've been playing.
Right.
One of them is Rage 2.
Oh, that game.
And I feel like from like the announcement and everything to even the fact that I liked the first one, I think a lot more than most people did. I thought on paper this game would be very much for me. It seemed to really just embrace big dumb action, which is probably my favorite genre. And it is that, but there's like an emptiness to it that's almost like it's giving me like Days Gone levels of apathy towards what I'm doing in the game.
Just not feeling this. We saw you play this on the play date. You can go check that out if you're a premium member. It did definitely seem like go to the checkpoint and pull the trigger.
Like everything about it, like, okay, so
some of the action
mechanically, mechanically it all controls really, really well. It can be a lot of fun and a good firefight.
Like telekinesis or something.
Yeah, you got that like shatter ability and all that. Like there's a bunch of those nanotrite abilities.
What are you playing it on?
PC.
Yeah, me
Looks
too.
good.
Are you playing it mouse and keyboard or not?
No, I'm doing controller.
Okay, I have something to add to that.
Okay.
That might be actually insightful for once for me.
Oh, good. We'll come back. We'll make sure we get to that.
Make sure we hit that point.
Yeah, I'll write that down. Hold on.
The action and the controls and everything is up there with like modern FPS stuff. Like, you could compare it to, like Doom or whatever. Not to say this game is anywhere near as good as Doom, but like just the basic running around, moving around and everything.
It knows how to do it.
Yeah, but everything about the way the open world is structured. Avalanche and
it's like their Apex engine.
Everything about
it.
The mission structure and the way the open world and side missions are kind of laid out and everything, it's all just really bland and uninspired, and it's a lot of, hey, go to this outpost, shoot all the guys.
So big open world, or
I wouldn't say it's huge.
All right, open world, big open world map, a lot of checkpoints, and you're in different cars driving around to those checkpoints. Post-apocalypse, but with that kind of Borderlands, goofy, I guess Rage.
But does it actually have a lot of that? Because I've heard from some people who've been playing it, like they are surprised how disparate the marketing was from the actual tone of the game.
Yeah, all the key art and the marketing and everything seemed like it was like, it's going to be wacky, just all explosions all the time.
Like that as much.
No,
right?
they sometimes try it to the point where like the tone is inconsistent, where like sometimes they'll try to be wacky characters saying weird things, and sometimes it's just really grim, like bad action story.
Full diapers.
Yeah, the diaper guy, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like even just in that play date we did, the tone was all over the place in just like a couple hours.
And it just does all the stuff we've seen a million times before with this genre, where it's like, okay, here's the part where there's a race, and here's the part where, it's got the aesthetic that we've seen a million times, the exact same Borderlands shanty towns and stuff like that.
Did you ever play Mad Max?
I did.
No, I didn't actually. The Avalanche one?
Yeah.
I did.
So if everything people have been saying about this game leads me to believe that they followed a very similar formula from that game. I mean, granted, Mad Max was kind of nothing but dour. Like, it was just sad and miserable for most of the time, which is fine. That's a lot of Mad Max is. But it feels like, at least from the open world checklisty sort of perspective and kind of the way the world is designed and how you interact it and the sort of copy pasting of objectives across the world and whatnot, that sounds very similar to the problems I had with Mad Max.
Yeah, it doesn't give me any pull to like explore that world a lot. I mean, I think the opposite.
I don't want to explore anything.
No, the opposite is, not to compare it to Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild, where it's like going from point A to point B. It's just there's a million little things that pull you off the path and are interesting and are usually like rewarding in a fun way. Like, oh, I discovered this interesting little character thing or this fun little shrine I didn't expect. Here, it's just like this big emptiness. And then even when you get to the thing you were trying to get to, there's really not a lot to do.
But I do think the shooting and like just the sort of, it has a tightness to it that is really, really good.
One of the things I enjoyed watching, it did seem kind of but one of the things I enjoyed was that we just haven't had in a while is the scripted progression in weapons. Where it looked like you're not just picking up loot. It's not a loot game.
Right. It is a like little bespoke cutscene where it's like, oh, you look at the weapons, like, oh, I got this gun.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a little incongruous with the open world nature of it.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily linear. There
That's
were
what
a
I'm
lot of
saying,
weapons, but like...
Right.
Well, isn't that dependent on like the arcs you find?
That's the thing. So it's not linear in the way that
it's not linear, but at the same time, it's not just about random guns being thrown at you.
It's not loot. It's not Destiny. It's not Division.
They've got tuned weapons that are for the player.
Totally. Yes.
Which is just, I don't know, it's just refreshing after a ton of loot games where, you know, you're not picking up the like golden shotgun of the Hawk and, oh, this one does plus 72 damage.
Like, I understand that is very much the appeal of Borderlands for people who love those games, but like, when they were pitching it's got 1 billion guns thing. Like, I cannot, that is like the least appealing thing in the world to me. Like, I would rather have a limited set of well-designed bespoke guns that do certain things.
With an upgrade tree if you want. And
yeah.
you even said one of them has like an alt fire, which is kind of nice.
The shotgun has the cool thing where it's like a force push thing. Yeah.
There's probably a good expression to this. Backhanded compliment, I guess, or like high praise via something that's not so great. But I just feel like I've just been playing loot games for the last 2 years straight.
Totally.
And it's just
if
nice,
not longer.
It's just nice to have a game where it's like, hey, these are the 5 guns you get.
Yeah, and these guns feel great, and I do get these bursts of enjoyment where, like, I stop by an outpost, and then it's just this, like, 5-10 minute action scene where I'm just going around killing everyone, activating this overdrive thing, and then as soon as it's over every time, I'm always like, oh, yeah, okay.
Back to the
I guess
grind.
Where am I going to go now?
Find that arc.
Yeah, it's weird. There's good stuff there, but overall, I'm not feeling a strong pull to keep going.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to ask Bacala for his thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, before I get to that, I do like some of the design of like some of the outpost stuff because they like, they make like mini objectives within each one. You have to like find some of the little chests and stuff.
That gets a lot better once you buy the upgrade that gives you the radar, because otherwise you're just like wandering around.
Right, you're like, where the hell? You're
chests.
just looking for the highest point in the thing so you could look down
Yeah.
for like a pink chest.
Some of the color stuff is nice.
Yeah, the different like pastels and stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
like the weird effects they're having where the screen goes
spray
purple
paints and stuff. Yeah.
The thing I was going to say was I'm
Yes.
playing it mouse and keyboard,
Uh-huh.
and it's kind of and there we have a lot of buttons on the mouse we use, right?
Yes.
So like I'm like,
Do
I'll just.
Do you take the time to map that
I
thing?
do,
You okay.
and this was one of the first games in a while where I was like, I don't want to do it like this,
Okay.
because there's a lot of those. What are those
Nanotrite abilities.
nanotrite abilities that are like? There's different ways to use them. Sometimes you like hold a button and hit another one, or vice versa. And I'm just like, you know what? This is not a fun way to play with mouse and keyboard. I'm sure there is like.
It's just all mouse and keyboard all together.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather play a shooter with mouse and keyboard,
Yeah.
but something has me wanting to try the regular controller version of it.
It does a good job of like mapping most of those nanotrite abilities to the LB button.
Yeah.
Also, it seems like there's a decent amount of driving where I feel like anytime there's a lot of driving in a game, I want to switch to
Exactly.
analogs.
Yeah, I don't like driving with
Mouse
the
keyboard. Yeah, it's not
It's
fun.
just kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But I'm having fun with it. I do like the abilities. To me, that's been like the kind of the draw, because you can really get good at kind of chaining them together.
Yeah, it just seems from the stuff I saw in the play date, which, it's not a huge sampling, but it's about an hour and a half, and you did a couple of different things in there. It seems like there is a very competent core mechanic to that game,
Yeah.
and just not a lot of fun ways to use it.
Yeah.
It feel like they went like 40% Bulletstorm. Whereas Bulletstorm had
totally.
all these cool abilities,
That's
but
the
they
game I
played
thought
off
of,
each
yeah.
other really well, and you could like flip them up and do this thing and that thing. And this one, it's like, I don't think they play off each other well. It is fun to run around and use them all. Like the shatter and all that stuff is really cool. But I don't think
It doesn't have like set piece moments where you're just in awe, like, wow, this.
They got some big enemies that like.
But even Doom, I felt like had areas where you're like, oh my gosh, look at this place.
Yeah.
This is
Doom was incredible.
So the interesting thing
everything
about,
goes back.
Yes.
the interesting thing about this one though is like it's a co-production between id and Avalanche, right? Like it's those two studios working together. And you're describing this game that feels like it has some these incongruous kind of elements to it. Like, there's this marketing that says it's this big, bombastic, stupid, fun post-apocalypse, but like very little of that is represented in the game itself. It's like got 40% of like this sort of wacky ability thing, but then it also has this very barren sort of like checklisty open world. I don't know. Like, is this I'm just asking questions here, but is this one of those things where it's like these two studios maybe had slightly different visions of how this game was supposed to work and it didn't necessarily all fit together, or what?
I mean, that would not shock me, because, I mean, you look at the stuff that is really good, and it is the id shooting and everything,
Right.
and you look at a lot of the stuff that is not great, which is this open world stuff, which I like Avalanche games, but like I don't think they've made the most interesting open worlds.
No,
it
and
sounds
the
like
thing-
Mad Max kind of suffered from a lot of that.
It did, and like the best open world games they've made are ones that relied very heavily on ability systems.
Yes.
Like the best Just Cause games are the ones where the island is essentially just one big sandbox for you to throw the most explosions at it possible.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that's fun in Just Cause, is the abilities that Rico
Yeah.
has. It's not the stuff you do on the island itself. It's
No.
just like, here's a bunch of red stuff you can blow up,
Yeah, so I don't know, like just something in that, like that development process and that, deciding how they were going to market this thing. It feels like maybe not everyone was on the same page for this thing. I don't know.
Well,
Rage 2.
Rage 2, it exists.
id exists.